All right, let's use what we know about centering rectangles and putting them in perspective to draw a couple of shapes, the first of which is going to be a pyramid. And the second of which is going to be, we'll call it a triangular prism. For those, I actually just think of it as a rooftop. Let's start with an eye level. I'm going to put the eye level relatively high on this one, so we're going to draw down below. Remember, wherever you put the eye level in a drawing, that's where you're telling the person to look, the viewer to look. So if you put the eye level high, you're telling them, hey, look at the ground. If you put it low, you're telling them, hey, look at the sky. I would avoid splitting the page dead in half with your eye level. We're going to use 2-point for this, 2-point perspective. That'll give us more opportunities to show the difference once things are moving, in our line of sight. The side of one end of a triangular prism actually changes relative to the other side. We'll see that as we build them. All right, so let's start with a pyramid. I'm going to come down in this sort of quadrant. And what I need is a rectangle on the ground. So I'm just going to make sure I'm lined up with my vanishing point and almost put arbitrary 2 lines. That's like one part. It's my rectangle that's going this way. Finish it off with this other vanishing point. Let's see. That's pretty good. Okay, so there's my rectangle on the ground. I don't usually run my lines all the way back to the vanishing point if I don't need to. If you trust yourself to line up with the vanishing point, you can just make the lines where you need them. Then you don't clutter up the drawing too much with receding lines. If it's tough, though, run them all the way back to the vanishing point. That works just fine as well. All right, I'm going to find the center of this one with that X trick. X. The more careful you are with your going corner to corner, the more exact this is going to be. So making sure those actually go through the corners instead of being offset oddly. Here's the center of the footprint of my pyramid. Now all I need to do is take that point and just lift it into the air to make this into a pyramid. So I'm going to do that with a vertical, because I'm in 1-point perspective here, or 2-point perspective rather. And how tall does it need to be? I'm going to go by intuition here and just make it kind of tall. This might be like some rooftop or something. All right, I'm going to use a little heavier pencil here to draw the outlines. All I need to do now is go from this point that I pulled vertical. That's the center point pulled vertical. I just need to run it to these 4 corners. I won't run it to this back corner because it's going to be blocked by this line. If it was transparent, I could run it to that corner, but I'm just going to do these front-facing 3 corners, really. A little irregular line because I'm a human. There's my pyramid shape in perspective. So, and you can do that anywhere within this scene. You just make a ground plane rectangle, find its center, pull that center vertical, however high you need to be, run to the corners, and you have a pyramid. So that's pyramid done. Let's look at the triangular prism. In order to do this one, I'm not going to start with a triangle. I'm going to start with a box. Say that's going to be the height of it. I need a vertical here, and I'll just finish off this side of the box while I'm at it. How wide do I want it? I'm just being arbitrary here. Let's say there. I'm going to run this back to my vanishing point. And this back. How deep do I want it to be? Let's say that deep. Again, this is arbitrary. I'm going to run that back to the vanishing point. Straight vertical from this through this. So let's see if I carried that on. I'd have an intersection here and an intersection there. That's my back wall. You'll probably, because you're a human being and not a computer, you'll probably never have these back ones match perfectly. It's not a huge deal. Just split the difference and it should feel okay. So there's a 2-point perspective box. Now I want to find I want to turn it into a triangular prism. So I need to find the center where I'll put the peak of this rooftop or triangular prism. I'm going to put it on this face and that face, so the roof's kind of oriented this way. That means I need to find the center of this front. And if these lines get confusing to you, you can go through and erase a lot of the lines, or just kind of like with your kneaded eraser, it's even easier to kind of just get rid of some of these lines that are in the way, so to speak. If you're comfortable drawing through them and then just bolding up later, that also works. So I'm going to find the center of this plane by corner to corner. It's right there. And I'm going to run a vertical through that center point, making sure I end at the correct line. It's this one. Comes off of that corner right there. And then I'm going to do the same on the back. This is a bit overkill because you can do something different on the back wherever this line intersects. So this point on its way to the vanishing point, wherever it intersects that back one, that's your other peak right there. But to verify that, I can divide this corner to corner, being careful, and run vertical through. A little bit off. If I go through this point and that point, it should take me back to my vanishing point. Okay, see, I was a little bit off on the, I like to divide for things because it's just a little bit more accurate. I'm a little off on this corner, so there's a little inconsistency in this back edge here. If you want to be really, really, really precise, you just take your time and be much more careful with lining up exactly how you're measuring corner to corner and so on. For the purposes of drawing, where we're sort of expressing an idea and showing a scene and stuff, we're not architects necessarily. A little bit of wiggle room is fine. All right, I'm going to turn this front into a peak, into a prism by going corner to center point, corner to center point. I'm going to go corner to center point here. I'm not going to do it on this side because it's the back side that we don't see. Instead, I'm going to flesh out this top edge here, and then I'll just finish off this bottom edge and maybe this one by hand. All right, there's a triangular prism in perspective. If I want it to seem hollow, I can come off of this corner and just stop right there. And that will make it seem like I can see into this, and maybe I can make that even clearer by running like a shadow. You don't need to do this, but it can kind of give us a sense of what's going on. So I need to come off that corner. There we go. Okay, so that's pyramid and triangular prism using our ability to divide to make that accurate in perspective.